Hi, welcome back to our Algebra 1 series. In this video, we're going to talk about how to graph radical functions using a table of values. Now, I gave you the x values. I gave you the x values on how to start to substitute in for x and find your y values, how to graph this radical function. But if you were not given these, how do I find where I should start? Well, first, I should maybe add an extra row just to be safe. I should consider what my radical function looks like. It looks something like this, or if a were negative, like this. And you can move it, you can transform it. You could shift it up and right, or you could transform it by moving it down and left, or you could always, of course, if a were negative, flip your function. But the key is that your vertex is going to be the farthest endpoint of your graph. So the vertex is what I should start with. My vertex here would be 5, 3. So 5, 3 is my vertex. And I'm only going to start with numbers, so if it's 5, 3, it looks something like this. So here's my vertex at 5, 3. Which means that I shouldn't use 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 for x. I should use bigger numbers, like 6 or 7 or 8. And we'll talk about y in just a minute. So once I've identified what those numbers are, and again, on your worksheet, they're all given to you, but once I've identified the numbers that I should substitute in for x, what I would do is I would substitute those numbers in for x and simplify. So I would put y equals the square root of 6 minus 5 plus 3, and then simplify. 6 minus 5 is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Plus 3 is 4. So what would I do to simplify? The first thing I would do is I would simplify everything I possibly could with the square root. I wouldn't even touch the plus 3 outside or anything multiplied outside until I was done simplifying that radical. So I can simplify the inside. 6 minus 5 is 1. And I will not change that plus 3. That's just going to follow along until the end. But I still have a square root, so I can still simplify a little bit farther. The square root of 1 is 1. And I'm just going to keep that plus 3. And now I've got a nice, easy, one-step operation. 1 plus 3 gets me 4. And I'll do the same thing with my last two numbers. So the square root of 7 minus 5 plus 3 equals the square root of 2 plus 3. And if I did the square root of 2 in a calculator, it would be 1.41 plus 3. So this is 4.41. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll do 9. Skip over to 9. Give myself a nice number. So 9, square root of 9 minus 5. The square root of 9 minus 5 is the square root of 4. I'll keep that plus 3. The square root of 4 is 2. Plus 3 would get me 5. But you don't have to find those x values because I gave them to you. So let's try one together. All I have to do is substitute these numbers in for x and simplify. So I would take the square root of 1 minus 1 plus 8. And I'm just going to simplify that square root. 1 minus 1 is 0. And the square root of 0 is 0. And 0 plus 8 is 8. Again, don't touch anything other than the square root until you have simplified that square root as much as possible. So I can simplify 2 minus 1 inside the square root. And then I can simplify the square root of 1, which is just 1. And then I can take 1 plus 8 to get me 9. And if I did the same thing with 5, the square root of 5 minus 1, and then plus 8. Well, I can simplify 5 minus 1 is 4. I'll keep that plus 8. The square root of 4 is 2. Plus 8 gets you 10. So 2 plus 8 is 10. I'll give you a few minutes to pause the video and try 9 and 10, and then I will unpause and check your work. Alright, so 9 should be 0, 1, 2. This should be 2, 3, 4. Let me know what questions you have, and I will see you soon.